Have you guys ever noticed how pro scene players always seem to get maximum value out of Kimmy? Well, even though I don't main gold lane like Oheb, what if I told you guys that after watching this video, you're gonna be able to do stuff like this on Kimmy? Anyways, in this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to play Kimmy properly. Anyways, let's get right into her skills. Kimmy's passive is called Aerial Dominance. You can move and aim in different directions using her spray gun, and you cannot lock an enemy. And as you can see, this yellow bar will get filled whether you use certain skills or you basic attack enemies. Once this yellow bar is charged, it turns red and you have an attack that can pierce enemies and it does extra magic damage. Moving on from her passive to her first skill. Kimmy's first skill is called the Anti-Grav Thruster. She uses her jetpack on her back to take flight, becoming immune to slow effects. She gains a 90% movement speed boost and she can fly over terrain. While Kimmy's flying, she also launches up to 4 rockets, which is based on how long you are around a certain enemy or how many enemies are within the circle that you are seeing on screen right now. Now, this skill does not have very good damage. It's not her best way of bursting enemies, so I don't recommend using it in a way to do damage. Use it as an escape or engagement tool. Moving on to Kimmy's second skill, which is called Starlium Beam. She fires a beam in the target direction that immobilizes enemies that it hits, and this also gives her Starlium, which is what her passive energy is called per enemy hit. Finally, Kimmy's ultimate is called Traction Pulse. She charges up a shot, and once it's fully charged, you have 3 seconds to shoot it. When you hit an enemy, it explodes and deals damage, and it will create a force field that slows enemies in it by 75%. At that point, it will contract, and it will deal 15% of the enemy's max HP damage to them if it hits them, and it will give you 40 Starlium per enemy hit. Finally, let's talk about Kimmy's builds and emblems. Getting into this, these are the 2 builds that I recommend using on Kimmy. The emblem should be Mage Emblem, and the recommended spells that I recommend should be either Sprint, Flicker, or Purify. Primarily, you should prioritize Flicker or Purify, but Sprint can be good in certain situations. Now, the last thing I want to mention is why Feather of Heaven is a core item on Kimmy. People don't understand it, but pretty much, Kimmy, for every 1% of attack speed, gains 1 magic power, and the item that gives you the most magic power to attack speed ratio is Feather of Heaven. That's why you don't see Wind Talker and other items, but you will see Feather of Heaven on Kimmy builds. In general, your core items should always be the trifecta of Feather of Heaven, Concentrated Energy, and Holy Crystal, and that is because Concentrated Energy at full stacks gives you a 12% magic damage boost, and we all know that Holy Crystal is the highest magic item in the game, but it also gives you a magic percentage bonus as well that scales with your hero level. That is why you need to use these 3 items. Now it's time to get into Kimmy's gameplay. Now I recommend either playing her on gold lane or on mid lane, and this is definitely dependent on the matchup that you would get. If you are going to play her on gold lane, make sure that it's a matchup that you can definitely win. Here versus a carry, I can outrange her and constantly poke her, and this makes it really easy to win lane. You can see just how oppressive Kimmy can really be, and how hard she makes it for enemies to lane against her. I mean, this Kufra, even if he bought first skill instead first, he would have gotten shredded. And you can see that even this carry super early on is getting absolutely demolished. And that is why Kimmy is one of the strongest early game marksmen, in the sense that she is able to oppress people like crazy. Keep in mind though, she has her matchups that she will lose, and in that case, you need to know how to play that matchup accordingly and put yourself in a winning situation. As strong as Kimmy is, and as strong as Kimmy is late game, you need to consider the fact that there's a lot of better late game marksmen than you. For example, you might be able to oppress a Layla like crazy during the laning phase, but after the laning phase, or potentially in late game, this same Layla would be able to 1 or 2 shot you, and you need to keep this in mind and have the correct micro and macro for these situations. Honestly though, overall, Kimmy is super oppressive and extremely disgusting, especially when she gets fed very early. And in this game, I was 5-0 within the first 2 minutes of the game due to the enemy's feeding. And because of that, it just made it impossible for the enemy to deal with how much burst I had so quickly. Getting Feather of Heaven at 2 minutes and 35 seconds in and having my penetration boots already just makes it so that I have way too much overall burst damage immediately. And you can just see that everyone is continuously getting shredded all around me. Don't forget that Kimmy will still scale exponentially with more items, so don't get too aggressive, don't get too cocky, and know your limits, and with time, you will learn to know them. On the other hand, you can also play Kimmy in mid lane, as you can see here, and Kimmy is extremely amazing at harassing the enemy mage or the enemy roamer in the mid 2v2, as you can see here by the constant harassment on this Akai that results in an early kill for my team. After this, you're gonna see that we're able to harass the Selena like crazy for messing up her dash, we can force her to use her flicker after immobilizing her, and we can easily jump in with a first skill and flicker to immediately kill her. And during the meantime, Ling didn't see me here on the map, and my Yi Sun Shin was able to zone him right next to me, and I get an easy triple kill literally a minute and 30 seconds into the game. If you know your limits on Kimmy, micro and macro wise, you are able to be one of the most annoying heroes that the enemy has to verse. She is such a problem if you learn how to play her correctly. You can see that literally a minute and 45 seconds in, we're able to confirm 4 kills. We're able to immobilize Ling when he's trying to dash on his ultimate. There's way too many things that Kimmy can do if you have good enough micro. And because of that fact alone, Kimmy is an absolute menace. Immobilizing the Sakai here so he can't keep pushing my Minotaur into his turret. And it's these kind of simple things that once you learn to master, you are going to be dominating on Kimmy. Just know your limits and understand that there's certain matchups that you are going to win and you aren't going to win. And as long as you understand how to play accordingly in these kind of matchups, you are going to be more than fine. And if you play the right way, you're most likely going to be having a lot of games like this one. Kimmy is one of the most misunderstood heroes, in the sense that people just don't understand how to poke with her properly, how to use her skills properly, and how to harass with her properly. But once you learn, you are going to be doing this in every single ranked game that you are playing. And that is why Kimmy is one of the best, if not the best marksmen in the game right now. Overall, you guys are able to see how to play her accordingly through these little matchups and little moments. You can see that you shred tanks and squishies equally with Kimmy, and that's what makes her such a menace to society. The fact that nobody is safe against her when she gets even one item, let alone when she gets her trio of items where you're gonna be doing this to people. Like, tell me that's not crazy. Like, you thought it was done? Come on now. I'm just gonna let this clip play. The skill to reward ratio is so minimal. Honestly, once you learn it, you're just going to be doing this in every game. Anyways though, let's move on to an actual gameplay where we played Kimmy, and that is going to be the gameplay that I showed earlier on Gold Lane, where I happen to have 76% total team damage. Let's get into it. In this game, I know that we're versing Kufra and I carry, and due to this fact alone, neither of them have enough range to deal with me, especially if Kufra bought his ball at level 1. Which means that we are able to freely harass this lane. We can poke out either Kufra or we can poke out carry. And since Kufra was willing to just get shredded for free, and in that case, we might as well try our best to confirm an early kill onto Kufra here, because he just made it too easy for us. And after that, it is a 2v1 where I have my Estes and carry has to back. So let's play for the gold crab, and after playing for the gold crab, we can immediately get back to harassing the enemy on lane. You can see just how easy it is to constantly harass and poke people, and just like that, we get another kill onto carry. And that is what makes Kimmy so amazing, is that you're able to just constantly harass and destroy people on the lane. If anyone's wondering why my voice might have changed slightly, this is another day. I'm just recording the audio in another day. And look at how easy it is to outplay this Fanny. Now with the new energy nerfs, it's very difficult for her to cable a lot in the early game, which does gives me a slight advantage because she runs out of energy so quickly. And thanks to the fact that we have an Estes, I can stay on the field instead of recalling here because he's able to heal me back up to pretty much full HP, literally only a minute and 45 seconds into the game. And just because of this fact alone, we're able to confirm 2 more kills onto carry and onto Kufra, making us 5-0 a minute and 50 seconds into the game. Most of this game was the enemy trying to force a gank onto me and failing every single time due to the fact that they fed me so early, and simply because of that, we're able to just constantly snowball and get a lot of kills. Most of this game, the enemy was playing very clumped together, which made it really easy for my passive to pop off. Remember that Kimmy has Pierce, and because of that, you're able to hit multiple enemies at the same time. And because they fed me so much, not only am I 2 levels higher where carry doesn't even have ultimate, but I've already got Feather of Heaven so early. Simply put, all we have to do now is just keep continuously pushing and harassing the enemy. You can see that we can play hyper uber aggressive because there's nothing that they can do to us considering that we have an Estes on our side, and it's just super easy to keep snowballing this way. Free kills after free kills after free kills, and even though Lilia gets very close to killing me here, I know that Kimmy's limits well enough to know that I wouldn't die. You can see that the rest of this game is me constantly evading Fanny, constantly evading Kufra, and just literally being able to shred everybody. From the literal second minute of this game, nobody was safe. Kufra dies in the exact same way that Fanny does. It doesn't make a difference that he's a tank. That is what makes Kimmy so oppressive and so OP. Honestly, I think that some of the most brain-dead triple kills and maniacs that I've ever gotten in my life have to be with this revamped Kimmy. It is just way too easy to do. After taking mid lane, we immediately go to take Fanny's blue buff, because not only do we take her buff, but we're also able to confirm a kill onto this Fanny, which just makes this game more than over. If it's already gotten to a point where their assassin can't deal with me, then this game's already more than done. There's nothing that this enemy team could possibly do to win against me anymore. You can see how much of the game we spend just constantly harassing the enemy, constantly poking, constantly bursting, and just shredding everybody on the map. We just make it very, very difficult for the enemy to play, and that is what makes Kimmy so strong, is because when you get this snowball, literally nobody can touch you or do anything to you, as you can see in these moments. Even Sylvana got a cheeky little play onto me, but it doesn't matter because of my lifesteal and my level gap, which makes it so that it's hard for her to kill me, because of course she doesn't have the items to yet. You can also see just how easy it is to close the gap onto people. We're easily able to close the gap onto that carry. Now, why in God's earth did she turn around? I have absolutely no idea. But because she did, she just fed us another free kill. And did this Lilia really think she was going to escape? Absolutely not. It's just way too easy. As long as you are using your advantage to constantly push the map, you are doing very well. You can see that I'm constantly harassing and poking because it's the most fun thing to do, but I'm also always prioritizing push. I shred someone, I kill someone, and then I immediately look for a way to push the map in. And here you can see that right after flickering away to make sure that I don't die, and poking these enemies out like crazy, getting a triple kill, the next thing I immediately do is push in this turret, because that advantage needs to be used in some way, shape, or form. To this day, I still don't understand why immobilized skills can work on a hero like Lancelot's first skill and on his ultimate, but it doesn't work on Hayabusa's shadows or on Fanny's cable. It just doesn't logically make sense. Anyways, we immediately go to pushing mid lane afterwards, because this is the last turret besides bot lane that is left to be pushed in, that is a second tier turret. Anyways, right after pushing bot lane, of course we've got to keep pressing the enemy. I mean, we've got a 5 level gap and a god knows how much of a gold gap on this enemy, so at this point, there is literally nothing that they could do. Anywhere that we go in the map, they are totally screwed. The last thing they want to see is me, and that is what you are going to be able to do on Kimmy after watching this video. As long as you have the correct micro and macro, and you make the correct plays and decisions, you're going to be able to absolutely dominate the enemy in this way. And even though this might have been an ugly maniac, we still ended up getting a maniac. And with Estes, we're able to heal right back up to full HP and not have a care in the world, and just continue shredding and absolutely destroying this enemy. To be honest, the real MVP in this game was Estes. He allowed me to be able to do all of these freakish things that I was doing. I think this is a triple or a 4x maniac gameplay, which is just absolutely disgusting, and even though I didn't want to end, my team just chose to end anyways. Let me show you guys the screenshots. Here you can see we went 33-0-3. We had a disgusting 76% damage, like ew. Anyways though, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe down below, and let me know what heroes you guys want to see next. See you guys in the next one.